Oh, hell no. I know Isaac from the Love Boat did not try to play our girl Sharesse. Sir, you are not Bill Bellamy on how to be a player. It's time for you to go. Y'all, let's talk about episode 7 of Ready to Love, Make a Move. Welcome back, Question Crew. So you know we are on episode 7 of Ready to Love, Make a Move, honey. Now you know that it comes on tonight, but we got to catch the old episode before we move on to the new episode. So stick with me while we go through this thing. So we are back still at Zadia's party, honey, and she is sitting there on her lonesome picking out, you know what I'm saying, the chicken wings, trying to find out why Cam ain't show up. She's sitting down chatting with Ashley, and Ashley's trying to wonder why Kirsten didn't show up. And the next thing you know, here comes walking in Cue Ball, who she eliminated, aka Don, previously as her keeper. Don has been texting, keeping it going in communication on the phone, and he is happy to see his boo, honey. He comes and spins Ashley around, and it is everything she ever dreamed of. It is very much giving Kenzie and Barbie in the dream house. Ashley is super excited. She, for me, was really looking for the validation of him liking her, and I think she needed somebody to show up tonight. Our girl needed a win. And here come Don showing all the love and affection that Ashley always wanted. However, Zadia is still salty because she is not feeling the fact that Cam is not there, and she wonders if this situation is going to be something that plagues them continuously through the relationship. Is she going to have to be waiting for him many, many times and him not showing up and being present? They're having this active conversation about it, and she's just not really sure whether she's set up to deal with the resentment that may build up if he doesn't show up in the ways that she needs. And as soon as she's thinking about cutting the cord, honey, here he come with a yellow gift bag. And that hair is still undone. And he walks down the steps and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry I was late," because he did tell her he was going to be late. He shows up with a bag full of goodies, apparently all in yellow because that's Zadia's favorite color. And she couldn't be more elated. Now, I will say this. I appreciate that Zadia was very cool, calm, and collected through this whole thing. She didn't really sweat bullets the way Ashley can sometimes when it comes to some of these men, which is what you should do. Keep your cool. Like, she didn't pretend like it didn't bother her that he wasn't there and that there could be some underlying issues that they would have to address. And even Cameron in his green screen says that he appreciates her for being patient with him because he had to pick up some extra hours at the pharmacy, honey. I don't know what the situation is. We need to know more about this man's situation. I know he said he owns a pharmacy or he, sells meth. I don't know what it is, but we just need to find out what it is that this man does. Did CVS call him and tell him he had to come in? I really don't know. But he did acknowledge that he doesn't know how long she'll be able to put up with that. And that may need to be something that they address. Either way, honey, he's here. Now she can blow out the candles on her cake. Meanwhile, in the corner, Mizell come creeping on Verneshia. So Verneshia minding her business, honey, just trying to get a drink. It is hot in there, and the men's are on her. She got the tatas out. She got the back out. She's doing her thing, honey. That ponytail is ponytailing. And she's trying to move out the crowd to move around. And Mizell, who is Sharisse's keeper, comes and runs up and say, hey, can I get you a drink? Everything about Mizell gives Isaac for the Love Boat every single time, honey. That and that open shirt. So he ends up talking with Verneshia, and it's clear he has a little bit of an interest in her. He didn't see the body. He knows it's been body, and Verneshia is giving very much grown Megan Thee Stallion, and he is here for it. Now, he asks her, like, hey, how's everything going? How you liking the process? He does it in a very clean and smooth way, but he is pouring that drink just one more sip and making sure that she get a nice little light of some wine or some vodka, honey. I don't know which one it was. And he's asking her, like, how she likes the process and how everything is going. He asked her, does she found anybody? And, she's there with Jabari and that man that sweat. And so they're trying to he's trying to figure out, like, where is she in the process? She says she does not have a man yet. And he says, oh, okay, well, I would love to slip in my interest card. And Vernicia's like, okay. But, she could tell she was attracted to him. She said, look, Tamika told us to go out with these different men and see what we got. I know he's Sharisse's keeper, honey, but ain't nobody being kept yet. And everybody is fair game. So she said, okay, we can kind of talk about that. But, I could possibly be open. And it's going to hit the fan when Sharesse find out. So the next day, the ladies are at the house and they're having conversation. They're finally away from this, rooftop mixer, honey, and blowing out the candles on Zadia's cake. And Ashley and Verneshia in the kitchen, just grabbing some food and some lunch, and they're just having a conversation about the night before. And Ashley ends up asking Verneshia, how did she enjoy her evening? And Verneshia asked Ashley the same thing back. And then she asked her, have you heard from Kirsten? We know that Don showed up, but she says no. Kirsten hasn't called her. He hasn't texted her. He don't want her. We knew this already, but Ashley somehow is playing the fool in terms of believing that, there's some deeper reason. Honey, he was just there to show off them 3 shirts he wore. So She says that Dawn showed up in the ways that she needed to, and she was very disappointed. Kirsten never contacted her last night to say why he hadn't come, and he didn't text in the morning and say, how was everything? Sorry, I couldn't get in touch with you. So she's already disappointed in the situation, but Dawn lit up her life last night, and she's appreciative of that. Fast forward to Verneshia explaining that, her date was going good. She was hanging out with Jabari and, homeboy that sweats, and they had a good time. She did go on a date with him, and he was a little bit nervous, and that bothered her somewhat. She said Tabari is cool because we love Jabari. So sometimes like the names mixed up, honey, because that's who we really think she should be with. She said Tabari was cool, but Tabari was pretty much a clown. I keep saying this, and she said that she needs him to be a little bit more serious than what she saw last night. And then we head over to the oddest pairing, you know what I'm saying, of Sharesse and Zadia in the living room, and they are not fighting each other. So Sharesse and Zadia are sitting at the table. They're talking about the night and how everything progressed. And, Sharesse is like, how did you like everything? And Zadia was super happy that Cam showed up, and she's happy that he came, and that, it really shifted how she saw their relationship, as well as the fact that, she genuinely did miss him. And that showed her maybe that she does care a lot about him. We could tell, girl, you shut every man down that goes on a date with you. Sharesse says that Danzy acted like a full fool. He was the party drunk, y'all. And he was being very touchy-feely in a very, clingy way to try to let everybody know, like, this is my lady. And he was kind of trying to kick Mizell to the side. But Mizell's smoothness and his ability to just flow in and be very relaxed and cool and grown really attracted Sharesse. And she's just feeling him a lot more. She said that she really wasn't feeling Danzy after that night, despite them having a decent lunch. And she feels like Mizell is going to be her keeper. But honey, she hadn't talked to Verneshia yet. So Ashley and Verneshia head on out to the living room to sit with the other ladies, and they start having a conversation about the night. And, everybody's saying how cool and calm everything was and how happy they were for their individual progressions. And then, Verneshia says, one of the things that was interesting is that Mizell did text me, Sharesse. She said, well, he talked to me last night at the party. He's been texting me since last night. He did ask me on a date, and I am considering it. And Sharisse's face, child, ooh. And she's like, oh, okay, that's cool. When I tell you, Ashley had me cracking up because she's like, Sharisse's face, she attempted to frown, but she got Botox. And she tries to play it off cool and says, that's cool, all is fair. But you could tell Sharisse's pissed because that's her keeper. Like, everybody has somebody, and Verneshia got two men's. I can't get one. So she asks and plays it off cool. But the thing she does mention is that Mizell hasn't texted her since last night. For him to be on the date there for Sharesse, for him to have a good time with Sharesse, he didn't even text her to say anything this morning, but he made sure, honey, he got that possible date with Verneshia. Okay, so Tamika done brought her nosy self back to the bungalow, honey, and she is talking to the ladies about what's been going down. Now, we know Sharesse is a little bit seething from the information she just got from Verneshia, but she is looking fabulous in that Versace dress, honey. And today is a day of their keeper mixer where they're going to be meeting with the guys and talking to them. But, Tamika always has to talk to the girls before they meet with the guys to find out where they are. And she talks with Ashley, and she talks to Ashley about the fact that, Dawn showed up last night. Ashley's excited, but she hasn't heard from Kirsten. And Ashley says, yes, she hasn't heard from Kirsten yesterday or today. She's very disappointed that he didn't come through because he's her keeper and he'll be here today. Don, however, was there yesterday, honey. And that's what matters to Ashley most, that he showed up in that moment and he has been doing the corrective practice of being there. And that is something that Ashley cannot ignore. And she is ready to turn up on Kirsten about not being in her presence. And then she moves on to Zadia talking about Cam and him showing up and being present. But him being a little delayed and late and how that will affect them. She talks to Sharesse about Danzy and Mizell, and Sharesse says that she really was feeling Mizell. But she then finds out from Verneshia that Mizell is also interested in her. And so Tamika's like, oh, skirt, hold up, let's roll that back. She says that, obviously Verneshia told her today that, she had talked to Mizell after the, during the event. He texted her after the event. He texted her a couple of times. Verneshia giving the same rundown she gave to Sharesse. And she basically lets them know that, she's a little shocked because she hasn't even heard from Sharesse herself, hasn't heard from him. And Tamika's also in shock because she's like, wow, that's weird. Why would you not call the person that you came with? Why would you just be texting this other person? And Verneshia wants to know, like, hey, it's all fair in love and war. I have, slightly possibly been interested. So are we allowed to connect? It's looking weird. It's giving uncomfortable, but That's the name of the game. That is the name of the game on Ready to Love. It's always given uncomfortable. The ladies look fabulous, and the men are about to walk in so that they can have the conversations they need to have. So the fellas walk in there, honey, per usual, they're always dressed like they're going 18 different places. We're all coming to the same location. The ladies tend to figure out the color coordination and the dresses for some reason, but every one of the guys is kind of sort of dressed a little differently, and that comes down to style. But why the hell is Mizell dressed like he just came from Planet Fitness? Sir, did you even care to put anything on? The care or the lack of it shows me two things. You wanted us to see your biceps. We get it. You 50 and you work out. And two, that you really don't care for Sharesse, because there's no reason why you wouldn't have put on your best. You met this lady twice now, and you're coming to the house in a mixer and you're showing up like you definitely just left goals and couldn't be bothered. Could you not change out of that outfit first? So they show up, the men walk in, everybody hugs everybody, and immediately Verneshia is annoyed because Tabari is doing clown energy. You know, he's all the way around saying hi to everybody, but he's doing the most. And that's something that's been unattractive to her about him. She feels like he's very intelligent, very smart, articulate, but he gives too much of early Martin energy. You know, sometimes that could be a little bit for some people. And she just doesn't like that in a man. She wants somebody who's, I think, a little bit laid back. You can be cool and, you know, converse with everybody and be a likable guy and has charisma, but she doesn't want class clown energy. And that's what she feels like Tabari is giving. Ashley, of course, is not super excited to see Kirsten, but she knows she's still attracted to him, honey. So she gives him a hug and they converse, and she asks him, you know, like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I didn't make it last night. Sir, we noticed. And he basically just says that. And she's like, oh, so you didn't, you know, you didn't want to call anything? He's like, you know, yeah, I didn't call. When I tell you Kirsten could care less, could care less, could care less. The man did not even have a viable excuse. Like, you got hit by a car. Something, sir, that would have made us believe that there was a reason that you just felt comfortable. He was really on, and you could tell early on that this would have been a problem if they had gone forward, on energy about the idea that he really didn't even have to have a substantive excuse. He would just say that to her and she just have to deal with it. And you know, Zadia is happy to see Kim, and they need to sit down and have a little bit of conversation, but they're kind of pretty good. And of course, Sharesse sees Mizell, honey. And then here go Mizell acting like ain't nothing wrong. And we knew that that was not going to last long. Sharesse ends up talking to Mizell about the fact that she is not feeling, you know, how he interacted with everything. You know, as she's talking to Kirsten about how he just went ghost on her and is not acceptable, they're going to have a little bit of a longer conversation, and she's not going to keep him. And we know that there's just going to be a little bit of drama that's going to unfold. So we head over to Ashley and Kirsten. They're talking about the situation. She's saying it's not okay that he didn't call. It's not okay that he didn't show up. She isn't cool with that. She's asking him, does he want to get some water? Basically, let me take you to the side and have a little conversation with the side because I'm about to dismiss your ass. Then Sharesse starts talking to Mizell, and of course she's not happy. And why would she be? Verneshia chimes in the black screen that, you know, she understands how Sharesse feels, because why would you be texting my homegirl, but you didn't even communicate with me last night? They start having a conversation, and Sharesse lets him know, like, I know you were texting her. I never even heard from you. And he's like, oh yeah, she said, did you call anybody? He goes, I didn't call nobody. Oh, we wanted so much for you, Mizell. But it's time for your early grave. Sir, you basically are playing a semantics game of whether or not you called versus text. You communicated with somebody else. So he goes, he didn't call anybody. So then he says, well, I did text someone, and I texted Verneshia. Then Tamika's in earshot being nosy, honey, but in a very much needed way. Steps in and says, look, why didn't you just tell this lady that you were not only interested in her? Why did you play this thing? Why did you, contact Verneshia, did not contact her? You were there for Sharesse. Why did you just basically disrespect her? He goes, oh, well, the reason I contacted Verneshia is because I had left my bag and she contacted me back and was really concerned about my bag. And I appreciated the care she gave to that. Sir, are you watching what we're watching? Because you definitely ran over there the minute Verneshia went to go get a little bit of iced tea or punch from the bowl, honey, and made sure she had a little bit of sip. And then also trying to find out whether or not she had a man. So Vernicia's like, is he lying on me while this is going on? Anyway, he tries to flip-flop with this story about how he appreciated Venetia's concern about his bag, and so then they started texting, but it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. He also says that, he didn't know they couldn't talk to anybody in the process. And Tamika says, wait a minute, hold up. Don't try to play me. This process ain't really about you. Number two, you do know that you can ask somebody out, but there was a way for you to go about it with Sharesse and be honest and say, hey, look, I'm also possibly interested in somebody else. That probably wouldn't have went over well anyway, to be honest. But the truth is, why are you lying to me now, sir? We just met yesterday. Danzy's starting to look good, even with his alcoholic behind. And then on top of that, Mizell says, well, I'm still learning in this process. Sir, this ain't your process. So Tamika leaves is like, look, I'm done. So Sharisse says, look, I'm going another way. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm talking. She's like, I'm going another way. Basically, get out. She kicks him out. He heads back to Orange Theory, honey. And we sit down with Cam and Zadia. They're having this calm conversation about, where everything is. She appreciated him showing up last night, but she also is concerned about the work thing. He tells her he understands her frustration and, things are piling up. He doesn't want that to be a problem for them. And he is super excited anytime he sees her. We can see that this is really the only strong connection right now in the house, in my opinion. And I appreciate that they sort of came back to each other. And she basically says she's going to keep him for another round. So fresh off of Popeye and Olive Oil choosing each other, I mean, Cameron and Zadia seem solid as a rock. And we are now moving back over to the couch as Ashley is sitting down to give a piece of her mind to Kirsten. He is sitting there super nonchalant, honey, in that wrinkled old suit, having this conversation with her and just really giving her no energy. It's the disrespect for me. Ashley basically says that she's pissed off that he didn't show up. She's really into him. She thought he was really into her, and it was disappointing that he didn't communicate with her. She basically says, I'm just not feeling, how this is going. He's super quiet. He doesn't have a lot to say. And she's like, do you have anything to say? He's like, I'm sorry. I'll do better. It was like he was giving her this runoff of superlatives or the synonyms to describe how he was gonna change or be different. And you could tell it was just so rehearsed energy. And what I mean by rehearsed is just he said this before to multiple people and just not giving a damn energy was all up in the room. So as she's getting more pissed because she could see like the lack of care is there. And she's just like, you know what? It was, I know I'm going in a different direction. You don't seem to have any energy about Karen. So she's like, let's just get up and go ahead and end the night. So he's headed out the door. And so he's like, well, I don't understand. Like, he's saying to her, he doesn't get like why she's upset. And she said, because you're not giving any sort of energy, that any respect that you care. Like you didn't even try to call and you're not giving any conversation. You're just giving this dead bug-eye energy to me and you're not saying anything. He's like, well, you already feel like you got your mind made up. She said, because I'm the only one talking. And, she said, it's time to go. When I tell you, he took the little water bottle in his hand, took a little sip and swig. And she's like, oh, you got to head out. So she kicks him out in that old wrinkled Easter suit. Sir, goodbye and not good luck. And we move over to Verneshia and Tabari, where maybe there's a little bit more care and conversation happening. And good riddance to Kirsten. Now, Venetia's hugged up with Tabari and she's talking to him about she really enjoys his company. She really enjoys his time. She said that she really enjoys the free spiritedness of his energy and she appreciates that because, he looks like he really enjoys life and likes to live and she sometimes forgets to do that. I'm shocked that she said that because I feel like she'd be here, there, and everywhere in the streets, which is why she didn't keep Jabari. But anyway, she states that she really enjoys his lightheartedness and his, fun, magnetic energy, but she would like him to take it down a notch. Okay. I don't need you to be, what I'm saying, a PT Barnum. I just need you to be here for me. I don't need the circus clown energy. And, he says he understands a little bit. He definitely enjoys her company. He feels like it's best if they possibly get away. I don't know, I guess in another environment. Sir, you're the same everywhere you go. But he essentially is saying that he maybe needs to show the other side of her because she likes the seriousness of him. She likes that he's smart. She wants to see those other elements of him as a grown man. I'm not looking to hang out with a child. Tabari takes the notes and he's listening and seems to be really attentive about that situation. He's growing on me a little bit, but there's something about him I just don't trust. Y'all let me know down in the comments if y'all feeling Tabari or not. But Verneshia basically says that she thinks she's going to go ahead and keep him because the energy is nice. She really enjoys the time that she's getting to spend with him. She likes all the, diversity from him. And he's, I think, a little bit more on her radar than Cantrell is. They have a lot in common, the whole entrepreneurship thing. I think she's genuinely feeling the situation. So they go back in the living room and all of a sudden we hear a knock on the door and in walks Don Henny, here to save the day. Or we find out that he was called, I believe by Tamika, to come and just give Ashley some relief from the hardness that is Kirsten because everybody's around the living room loving, liking, or maybe except for Sharesse, honey. And she feels like Ashley could just use a little boost right now. And Don said, look, I heard all the stuff. We've been building a better relationship and I want to be here for my girl, especially if somebody didn't gave her a bad day. I really appreciated this moment. And Tamika was clutch for doing this. She is drunk, however. But she basically says that she's the one that called Don because she felt like, Ashley could use that boost. They go sit in the living room, and Don says, once I heard that, she could use me over here, I was immediately here. And that's what we love to see, honey. There's nothing better than a good relationship, and a good one where a man is showing up and supporting you, and making sure that he's knows that you're taken care of. And that vice versa energy is so important. Ashley's super excited that Don interrupted whatever he had going on, which probably wasn't nothing, honey, to come and check on her. She lets her know she's not having the greatest day, and he lets her know that he doesn't want that to be the case. He then gives her a list of synonyms to talk about how he wants their relationship to grow, and he's super happy as to where they are, and he's also super happy as to having a healthy and positive, mature. Honey, he's giving everything in the book in terms of let this lady know that he is definitely interested in just being with her and watching it grow. Ashley couldn't be happier. We're happy for the smile on her face. Let's move on. Honey, so if it's one thing Miss Tamika going to be is the author of confusion, honey. She's going to keep the pot stirred. And one thing she is not going to let our girls do is miss any of the men in New Orleans. And some of the fine ones, I might add, because this next set of guys were very attractive on both dates. So she sends our girls on blind dates, even though they got to keep us, because Tamika said we got to keep it moving. I can't have you be stagnant and you're not just going to meet this one guy and then be thirsty and then it don't work out. I need you to constantly see there are many, many options. And I have to agree. This is one thing I firmly like about this show is the consistency of the dates. Like, you still could talk with your person, you can still have fun with your person and have a good time. But I'm gonna let you know there's something always new out there. I wish we had this refreshed energy for all women. Anyway, she sends Verneshia and Ashley out first. And honey, they are very casual because they are going to dance Zydeco today and they need to be relaxed. As they are both walking down the street, Verneshia dressed more so like she's going to the corner store. Wasn't really feeling this outfit. She seemed super, super casual and I just didn't care for it. Ashley, of course, is wearing basic sneakers and, like a little jumpsuit or a short jumpsuit with a little candy necklace, honey, because one thing she's going to do is always give you them Smarties on that necklace. And they are both meeting with their blind dates. And as they're walking down the street, these men are looking like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, what we got over here, they are happy with what they are seeing. And we love to see it because the girls look good. They stacked and racked. And so we meet Trey and Mike, and they are also in kind of workout attire because I guess they've been told that it's going to be like a physical date where they're going to be dancing. They walk into the dance studio. They seem to be having a good time. The ladies like the bodies they have on them, but they want to make sure they have brains as well. So they go to the little dance lesson. Everybody seems cool. And once it ends, they have a little chit chat. They're sort of standing in this foursome having a conversation. It's giving cocktail hour, not so much alone time. But they are wanting to see if these men match up to the guys that they have decided to keep. They start asking questions. We find out that one of them was in military, but he's 31 years old, and that's a no-no for Verneshia. But he's this cool dude who had a little bit of a knee injury. Thank you for your service. He got messed up when he had like a tank situation. He's like, look, my last relationship was, 6 years long. So they're like, hey, why didn't you get married? He's like, it didn't work out, but I even moved to Hawaii. I'm very shocked it didn't work out either. But he seems like he's in a better place and, a very calm and cool, collected guy. Both are well employed. He's a project manager and he's doing very well for himself. The other guy is 38 and he's a personal trainer. And we can see that, honey, because the biceps are open. Okay. The back is giving what it needs to give. The legs are giving what it needs to give. He also works in another gig and he does a personal training at night. And he says that he's single by choice. He said that he's been single for the last 3 years. They start having more conversation. The men seem to also be in the competitiveness because as one tells one story, the other one tells another story. The one guy said he can't do nothing with his knee. The other side, hey, my knee is okay, but I could do almost everything else physical. I didn't slid down a volcano. I didn't skyrocket it through the sea. I didn't, fought an octopus, whatever they needed to say to impress these women. And Venetia's not really feeling the vibe, and neither is Ashley to a certain degree. I think for the most part, it felt a little bit false, but the men are cute. But they decided they think that they're gonna keep their guys because there's just something more solid there. And Venetia's not feeling the young one, honey. The older one ain't really that much more impressive to her. Ashley's like, I want to know if there's just more here. Now, one of them does seem a bit layered. I like the guy who was 31 named Mike. I think him and Ashley would have hit it off had she not just really been in a Don. Then we fast forward because, she can't do 2 days without doing another 2. And that's going to include Sharesse and Zadia, honey. Now, again, I've been saying for the longest time, why she keep connecting Zadia on these dates? But, Tamika love a good rejection. And Zadia and Sharisse are headed down the block and they go to a pottery class. They're connecting with 2 guys there. I believe their name is Will and Marcus. I'm not sure. But both also very attractive men. Honey, Will's locks were looking amazing. And they walk in, they're like, hey, I've never done the pottery class before. And Will walks in first and he's like, hey, I've never done it either. And after him walks in the other guy. And then Sharesse is like, look, Zadia got her guy. And I absolutely understand that both days are here for us. But I feel like since I'm the person that is out on the lamb here, I need to be the first person for picks. And Zadia definitely agrees. And she says, hey, look, they're about to split up because one of them is going to do some type of like, making a bowl, and the other ones are going to be making something else. And the lady says, I got to split you into 2 different rooms. So Zadia says, girl, which one you want to take? So Sharesse takes Will, the one with the locks. Zadia goes into the room with the other guy, and then they start, doing the whole claymation, ghost situation, honey. And they're getting their Demi Moore on, and they're having conversations. Zadia says she really just wants to have a substantive conversation with somebody that she likes, that she's digging. And she seems to be getting that with her match. They seem to be having a positive conversation. He is a personal trainer. They're around the same age, but he does talk about how, a lot of his job is really hustling with his work. And Zadia says that she doesn't know if she wants to deal with that because she's already dealing with that with Cameron, and she doesn't want to deal with that with another person. But I have to say, I thought it was interesting that he was also a personal trainer. I feel like maybe the thing, and not that you have to date somebody that's in your like industry, because I absolutely agree that, um, yin and yang can be helpful, and somebody having a different occupation could be a nice vibe. But I did like the fact that Zadia thought he was physically attractive, and they're both in the same industry. And I wondered, like, hey, even if he did work a lot, you don't have any kids. If he doesn't have any kids, and his work is his job, the fact that y'all both are personal trainers, could that turn into something? I have seen Black personal training couples online. I don't know anybody personally in life, but they seem to be doing very successful where they work in a business together. There are quite a few couples that own gyms, that have personal training businesses, and they're both physically fit. So I wondered if Zadia was maybe pushing him to the side too quickly. On the other end of things, Sharesse is talking with Will, and he starts telling her that he works as a community engagement person, and he helps like young Black men. And already I already could see that they're not going to work out. And I know Sharesse tried to come across positive, saying that she liked his job and what he represented, but honey, he don't make enough money for her. He says he has a 6-year-old, and she wants to know how him and the mother are doing. Flag number 2, Sharesse ain't gonna be dating nobody with a 6-year-old. Why are we wasting this time? But Sharesse says she likes him. He seems really, really cool, and somebody that has a nice vibe, and a lot better because he's conversing more in the conversation than she's had in previous situations. But Sharesse, he is too poor for you. Off the bat, once I heard community and anything, I knew he didn't make enough money for Sharesse. And he got a 6-year-old, and girl, you don't want no kids. Child, so at this point, I think they punking our girl Ashley. But our final event of the night, honey, is Ashley linking up with her keeper, Don. And they are at Don's house. Men never decorate their home, honey. He had a cute little blue door, but it was nothing inside. And Ashley is coming over because Don has decided to cook for her. And they're having a lovely evening. He's showing her, he's coming through and being consistent and showing her all of the things that she likes. They sit down, they have a lovely evening. He said he don't know if he can cook. Ashley is very picky, not in a negative way, but obviously she owns restaurants or worked at restaurants or cleaned the restaurants. Honey, I don't know. We still haven't really nailed down what Ashley's job was, but we do know that the girl knows food and she can't cook. So she's tasted the food and, it's kind of like, okay, you won't be cooking for us, but you always want to give a man a high five. And I agree because my man is also the exact same way. Heck, makes a hell of a salad. But it stops there. And so, woo, he hear this. he know, but he progressive. My baby tried. He tried. Anyway, y'all gonna get me in trouble. Anyway, Ashley's sitting down. She tasted the food. She tasted it twice, honey. Just say that it might be nice. And she is having a good time with Don. They're really getting to know each other. They like each other a whole lot. And, he even introduces a card game. And that is one of my favorite things, y'all. I have to say this. I absolutely love games. I was talking to my friend the other day about this because we were talking about the fact that, like, during dinner when, like, you're there sitting bored, like, I am a girl, honestly, and I have been to some nice spots. I've been to some very pricey places. When I tell you I will pull out my phone in a minute and we're going to play Brevity or we're going to play a card game at the table, I don't care. I do not care who's looking, who's seeing, whether we be at Philippe Child's, whether it be at Noble, I'm going to pull out the games. And the crazy part about it is people are surrounding us never feel to either want to join in or whatever. And it's not being super loud because you just do it with the person with you at the table, if it's you and your significant other. People be hating on the trivia, but they love the trivia. Because after a while, conversation, it's only with so much. So that's just my shtick. But anyway, they're sitting down and he pulls out a card. I think I've seen these cards before. I think they're called Tonight's Conversation. Anyway, I'm about to order them. And, they try to take out some of the freakier questions. It's about love and relationships. And they try to, mix enough good stuff. They have a little bit of fun, light, conversation about, they get down, and then they get into some serious situations. Now, one of the cards that Ashley picks for him is one about, what was the toughest, relationship time and how did you heal? And Don surprises me with his answer. He says that he's been in some really not great relationships. A lot of his relationships have really not been great. And the last one was really his worst. And I'm like, damn. So did we not know this? But I think Ashley knew some elements of that. And, he says, but that his last relationship was the thing that made him stop and say, I got to start self-reflecting. Something is not going right in these situations. And I got to look at my part, the accountability portion. So that was kind of interesting to see. And then they have another card that comes up and says, what is something that the other person doesn't know about you? And he's like, is it something that's serious or something that's not serious? So she said, well, it could be either one, but let me brace myself. And he says, oh, I was married, right? Child, when I tell you Ashley was taken aback, as were we. We have known you since bowling, Don, and you ain't tell us nothing about the fact that you were married. And apparently he hasn't told Ashley none of that. They have talked, they have had conversation, they have been texting, and Don failed to mention that he used to have a ring on somebody else. So that is the end of the episode. Ashley's in awe. We're in shock. They keep punking our girl, child. I don't know what's going on. It's almost like somebody in production don't like Ashley. And every time they see her with a little bit of happiness, boom goes the dynamite. Y'all let me know what y'all thought of this episode. We are now caught up, people. So everything official is new. Look forward to new and consistent content. I'm back, y'all. And I will see you in the next one. Leave your comments below and like this video. Thanks. Bye.